Yeah? Welcome, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us here today and also here online, which is why we have the microphone. My name is 𝑳𝒂𝒂𝒎, and I'm the Executive Director of Canada's Theatre Museum. This is the space here. In the past, we've said the future home of Canada's Theatre Museum, but in fact, it's our home today. It's just a home that we plan to renovate so that it's more welcoming and has more flexibility in terms of use of space. But this is pretty delightful for us in terms of this public presentation to be able to use the space here today in this way. So thank you very much for joining us here. Also, welcome to International Dance Day, which is worth celebrating. And also great for us. The Canada's Theatre Museum, we've celebrated World Theatre Day in the past, but we're delighted to be working with Dance Collection Danse, as we have many times in the past, and will again in the future, to celebrate International Dance Day. And speaking of Dance Collection Danse, I'll pass it over to Amy.
Thank you. I'll put these on so I can see. Thanks, Mike. So hello and welcome and happy International Dance Day to everybody. I'm Amy Bowering. I'm the Executive and Curatorial Director at Dance Collection Danse. And I just wanted to start by acknowledging where we are. This land where we are working is the traditional territory of the Huron-Wendat, the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Métis, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. It has been a site of human activity, including dance, for tens of thousands of years, and we are grateful to all the caretakers, both recorded and unrecorded, on this land and on Turtle Island. It's important to know that as a part of the systemic oppression of Indigenous populations here, their dances, an important part of their spiritual practice, were banned from 1884 to 1951 through amendments to the Indian Act. Much work has been done in the last 7 decades to recover these lost dances. Today, the meeting place of Toronto is still the home of many Indigenous peoples from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work and dance in the community on this territory. We are delighted to be hosted by Canada's Theatre Museum on International Dance Day, a day so named because it is the birthday of Jean-Georges Noverre, the French ballet reformer who developed the ballet d'action, which was an important evolution in ballet that would lay the foundation for ballet as we know it today. And what a better way to celebrate than to have the inaugural Lawrence and Miriam Adams Dance History Lecture and pay homage to DCD's co-founders who have revolutionized dance history, publishing, and research in Canada by founding Dance Collection Danse in 1986. And we have the pleasure of having Miriam Adams here with us today. Yes, yes, you did. And you're no spring chicken, Miriam. So we have been wanting to start this lecture series to share the stories of our dancing past for some time. So very excited to bring it to fruition now. We are thrilled to have accomplished multidisciplinary artist, performer, scholar, and mentor Sashar Zarif as our speaker today. Sashar bridges rural traditions and contemporary institutions. With over 30 years of experience across 40 countries, he specializes in the intersections of dance, music, and stories within traditional and ritualistic practices of Western and Central Asian cultures, focusing on Sufi and shamanic arts within Islamic societies. Through his signature approach, Living Stories, Sashar weaves together reflective research, transformative education, dynamic creation, and collaborative performance to explore cultural heritage, embodiment, and narrative as dynamic, living experiences rather than static records of the past. As both an artist and scholar, he bridges academic inquiry and creative expression to reimagine and preserve these traditions in contemporary contexts. As founder and director of the Sashar Zarif Dance Company, he cultivates a heritage that honors cultural roots while adapting to the present, inviting a vibrant cross-cultural dialogue that connects both personal reflection with community unity. Please welcome Sashar Zarif.
Thank you. Hello, I love my laugh. It's very important. Okay. Oh. So, first of all, I would like to thank all the people who have made Toronto home for me. People who provided me with opportunities to perform. They taught me, they gave me studios to rehearse. They became my outside eye and friend and coach and mentor, like Catherine Duncanson, that I've been working with for the last 20 years. People who believed in me to dance for me when I was just so green and had no idea what I'm doing, like 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒆, the fantastic 𝒊𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒆, and many others, like who listened to my stories and had that heart that I could open up to, like Holly Small, Carol Anderson, a lot of people who danced with me, also like Heidi Strauss and Lucy Rupert and Yvonne Ong and all the others. I can't, I'm sure I won't remember all of them, but I just want to say that today is, for me, International Dance Day, to thank what I have been given from dance. To celebrate dance, I think it's to celebrate what we have been given and what we have shared with others. And so I would like to thank Miriam Adams and people like Lawrence Adams, a lot of people in Toronto who have contributed to dance. A lot of things that we are enjoying now, it's from their work. And Dance Collection Danse for having me here. I am an improviser. I did my job and I did my exercise of doing this lecture, but but I knew that in the last minute I will just forget all of it and start improvising. That's the nature of me. So, but I just have a slideshow that it will keep me in line. Otherwise, I will go nuts. So we can have a little. So I always wondered why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I have a very interesting, I should say, history, especially my early years of my life has been quite eventful. And I don't want to tell the stories anymore about my past. I'm here right now. What you see is all of that breathing right now in front of you. But I always wanted to know why I'm doing this, because I couldn't think about if the reason being only to feel good, to entertain or to perform. For me, dance helped me survive or to become myself. I mean, I'm a product of Toronto, right? When I arrived here, I went to high school. I got into engineering at University of Waterloo. Then, you know, I end up in dance, and people like 𝒂𝒏𝒄𝒆 were my inspirations, because she was doing Bharatanatyam, but she was doing work with Robert Rosier and Danny Grossman, and then she started training me to be in her contemporary work for a while. So it was an inspiration for me that things doesn't have to, if I want to move forward, I don't have to compromise the past. I can just bring it with me, because it was so important to me, especially the things that people like my grandmother has left for me. You know, I opened my eyes to the world through her lens, dancing, singing, telling all these stories with lots of passion, you know, and it's a different way of talking. Even her breath, you could hear it Sashar. That's how she was like, you know, and to say I love you, Sashar, she could say Sashar, kurban oldum sana. But she would say Sashar, sana kurban oldum bala. Right? So it's a different thing. I could feel it in her bones. I could hear it, feel it. I could live it. So I going back to the meaning of life for me, I thought that, okay, this life is series of experiences, and these experiences are kind of have some magic in them. There is something in them. There's a synergy, you know, the connection between all of them. Like, I couldn't understand my grandmother only by her voice, to have this full image of her. I couldn't only see it in her movements. It needs the whole ensemble, that synergy of the body, the emotion, the thoughts, the mind, the intention. So I felt that this connection in my body has to happen. I have to bring it to my body. So I started singing like her and dancing, and I started singing and dancing and finding stories in those singing and dancings. And so I realized that the way I relate to my body is that I have a thinking body, I have a moving body, and I have a body that feels, feeling body, emotional body I have. And if I want to really understand my past experiences, I need to understand all those three dimensions. Because if each experience is not only being recorded through the mind, but through the body and the emotions. So I need the dimensions in order to have the full picture. I forgot about saying next. And so I just want to share a little short video with you of me working in the beginning of my search for the connection between the body and the mind and the emotions. The idea of integrating dance and music. Please. The physicalness here, and the physicalness here, and the physicalness in the musicians really brings a whole quality together. Okay, so here in this project, when I went to see this gentleman, he's quite well known in the world music. I'm actually going on stage with him again in Toronto in October. In Toronto, I said that. When I went to see him, he's kind of he's here, but he's not here. You know, he's like a Sufi, but he's not a Sufi. You know, he's a very strange person, in a not in a good or bad way. It's just a strange. When I went to see him and I said, I want to dance with this devotional music, because this music sometimes doesn't have any rhythm. It's a structured improvisation. It can change. I went to see him the first day. I took my laptop, my camera, my pen and paper, and I told him that I have a program, a plan, a project planning and all. So I explained it to him. He was very patiently listening to me, and then he just got up and left. And his wife, I was at his house, and his wife came to me because you talk too much, she said. Are you here to listen or to talk? So she said, don't worry, just stay here. I'll bring you some tea and food to eat. And after a while, you can go to the tea house at the corner of our house and just go there, sit beside him and be quiet or shut up. So I went, and that trip was quite interesting because I ended up in this village of the Sufis in the mountains of northern Azerbaijan, and they dance and sing for the whole night in a small room like this, which this room, kind of reminded me of that. It was incredible, and I told the elder, this lady, 84 years old elder, that was singing and playing the rhythm, and everybody was just dancing to it. I said, how can I learn this? She goes, it's gonna take a long time for you to learn it. I said, but how? It's okay. I can devote to it. No, it might be a lifetime, but the questions you're asking, I think it will be your next life. And so we talked a lot, but one thing that she said to me is that the cage, she said, if you don't have the cage, there is no freedom. The meaning of the freedom is in the cage. If you're not in the cage, there is nothing called freedom. So she was talking about the choreography, the set in the ritual, the dance that they did. Then she said, it's a cage that encourages you, inspires you to want freedom. Because I showed her some of my work, and I was working with Alim, and I was like wondering how I could choreograph this. What should I do with this whole thing? And she said that this cage has to be your creation. What you make has to be to inspire you to thrive for freedom, for the flight. So I realized from there that what I do in dance, even though it is structured, it needs to the structure that you create needs to be created for inspiration, to enable you, to facilitate that transformation for you, not to train you to necessarily just remember something and replicate it or perform it again. Next, please. So I was sitting with a friend of mine and talking about things that I like, and he said, I have a friend I was in Morocco a few weeks ago. He said, I have a friend in Marrakesh and you would love to go to his house. His house is like a museum, has lots of old items and all. And so he took me there, and we came out, and goes, you don't look so excited. I said, no, because I didn't felt that they were lived. It looked like they made them and they put them on a display for all these years. They were just sitting there. And he told me, so you're not interested. This is the way I can translate it, I guess, the best. So I don't think you're interested in history. I think you're interested in the fingerprint of time. So I said, that's interesting. Let me just work with that for a bit. But I love that living, the things that are lived, the stories that have been lived through, not that have been written and told, you know. Because each one of us are a lived story, I believe. So when I do my ethnography, I traced the pattern that I do ethnography, and I came up with a structure for myself. And it is about first to listen and tell the story. That's the first stage, to listen and tell the story. The second stage is to embody, to be the story. But the ultimate stage, the third stage, is to live this story, to actually have that past breathing in you right now, in any form that it's authentic to you. Next, I want to show you this video. If it plays, it didn't play. Oh, you have to go back, please. That's okay. No, oh, you're going forward. You have to go back. That's okay. Okay, just wait. It's okay. Okay, so about this whole idea of listening, telling, being, and living. I was in Kyrgyzstan many years ago, and I went to an elder who was playing komuz. It's a string, it's a lute instrument. And the lute instrument looks like a horse's head, and it has a lot to do with horse, and the culture, the nomadic culture is very connected to horse. So he told me that he wanted me to dance with his lute, with that komuz, and I said, well, I have to understand it. So we sat and he explained, and you know, these musicians, they really dance when they play their instrument, and told me stories. And then after a few days, he goes, how do you feel? I said, I still, when you play, the body doesn't go, like doesn't make my bones dance. He said, okay, so I'm gonna send you to the mountains. I said, okay. So he got his disciple with me. We went to the mountains where there was a horse ready for me, and I sat on that horse for the next few weeks and just danced. And so I got the rhythm of this music from the horse, not from the instrument. So when after 3 weeks, I came back to Bishkek. It took me another week to kind of have my legs kind of work. And then I went to the elder, and the disciple played and I danced. And it was quiet in me, like it was living in me. So this is a video that might help you. So I I I heard this all the stories from this elder, that this komuz was a spirit of the horse that we play. So there was this man who had this horse and loved the horse, and the horse gets older and older. At some point, he starts walking with the horse because the horse gets older and cannot carry him. And at some point, he carries the horse because the horse gets really old. And then he sits beside the horse, and the horse dies and decomposes. And one day, the man will have a vision of that horse comes to him and says that I'm with you. You just take my head and my bones and make a lute. And if you play that lute, I am with you. That's my spirit. You awaken my spirit. So I heard all the stories, and I heard all the rhythms. He explained to me about the structure of the rhythms and how the rhythms are the galloping of the horse and different ways of galloping. But I couldn't really understand it. So then I went to be the story, be that man on the horse who got this rhythm into his body, and that rhythm translated into this music that he played. And after that, I didn't go to replicate or redo what the man does. I just came back and did my dance with that experience. So I became that living story. Does that make sense? Next, please. And so this is another dimension of it. When I work with young artists to share my way of researching into your body with them. Please. I hope it works. So this is a group of musicians. They're traditional musicians. And I got them to dance, and you can see how hesitant they are to move. And then I bring back the horse feeling back to them. So I call this choreo composition. So they do the composition by looking at the body or working with their own bodies. And so they don't do it on top. Next, please. Yes, the current. So about education. I'm trying to go through the things that I do. I do research, I teach, I create and perform. So we are in education. Education for me was all about learning. And then there came time that I was so tired of learning, but not more than that. But, I was tired of, not tired, I guess. It wasn't enough for me to do what I do, the traditional things that I did. The traditional songs was not enough for me. The traditional dances, the movements were not enough for me. As if I needed to just kind of leave the carpet that I sat with my grandmother on when I opened my eyes. I had to leave that carpet and my grandmother there. I can go back to it whenever I want, but I just had to leave and face my own world. And so I had to unlearn. And this unlearning had to happen in so many different dimensions. It had to happen in my physical body, in my emotional self, and in my cognitive self, in the way I think. So through these exercises that I try to develop, I divided the body into 4 different currents, I call them. The natural, which is the natural current, the natural body, the disciplined or trained body, the mimicking body that mimics, and then reacting body, impulsive body. And all these 4 working together, none is better than the other. As long as none of them is leading the game, then we are kind of in the authentic body, and we can have an authentic experience. We can understand what the decision is making, what percentage of it is in our emotionally driven, what percentage is mentally driven, and physically, all 3 of them. So I usually try to work with a lot of lullabies, a lot of songs that have emotional connection to people when I work with the artist, or traditional movements or traditional body language. We can move to the next, please. This is a little video of one of my residencies, and I'm always worried about videos. In Bangladesh. So the creation happened on the seaside, in the water, sometimes on the shores. We worked with the lullabies. So in the beginning, they were laughing because they were saying, how can we dance? Because the sand is playing us. And I said, well, that's good, because you can create another movement out of that for yourself. The very special thing about this was that they talked a lot. After rehearsals, they sat there and talked to each other a lot about things that they remember from their childhood. So this idea of us asking them to sing the lullaby and then to deconstruct it, to sing it as if they're deconstructing the lullaby. It really resonate with them, like the idea of hesitation to kind of deconstruct something that they're so attached to was very interesting for them. But they also, in that negotiation, they kind of had this flashbacks of things that they never remembered about their past. Right after the idea of education, so I think that the learning and unlearning is kind of happening all the time. As I'm learning, I'm unlearning, and as I'm unlearning, I'm learning. And if the intention is that you're not so hooked on it, so it's not written on stone, whatever you learn, or unlearning, it doesn't have to happen. And the idea of creation, again, an elder once told me. He said that I said, when you are whirling, where are you? Where are you? Like, what are you doing? Are you thinking? Are you? And he said, I am here. He said, there is a place between the past and the future. And he said, most of us, we live in the past or in the future. And there is a place between there that is now. and I'm right there. And then he said, and creation is right there, and creativity is right there. So I always thought that I had to think about what I want to create, and plan it, and have an intention of this is what I want to create. But after that experience, I realized that I have just to have an intention of seek new things, to understand, and not to organize it. And I go, and whatever happens at that moment, it becomes a creation. And I take those creations and put them together, and then experience them in a different way on stage when I share it with other people, and not to perform it, not to perform it, to share it with others, so that I would want my audience to be witnessing me rather than auditing me. I want my audience to be part of it, not to look at me as a single story, but a multiple layers of stories that 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 is them as well, because it's so layered. Like when the moment that a drop falls into ocean. So the living story became my, I called my way of working living stories, because I didn't want to be the stories from the past. I didn't want to tell people that I was a refugee, or I ran away, or, I didn't want all these names. My favorite author, 𝑳𝒂𝒂𝒓𝒄𝒆, says, when you name something, it dies a little. So I sometimes resist as much as I can to name myself. Even artists, I have this thing, why I call myself an artist. And I do wish I could find another word for dance, because as much as I love the word, but also it's been, I don't know what it is anymore. But to conclude, I want to say that I used to be wanting to know everything, and I always looked at people who knew what they want to do in life, and they were very articulate, and they knew exactly how to navigate their way forward. I always loved to be one of them. But at the age of 56, I'm quite happy to say that I am so messed up. I am so confused, and I am always processing. I'm always dancing in mind, in body, and in my emotions. I'm constantly dancing. And I don't like to think about dance as a profession, as much as I know we live in a structure that we have to kind of, be realistic and fit in. But nobody can blame me for wishing that one day we will not call ourselves professional dancers, and we don't call dance as a profession, but as a way of life, because life is about dance. Thinking about it, the only art form that has dance, has space and time both involved in it, is dance. And I think that my next project is about to learn how to live, how to age, because that's the dance of life, the dance that happens in this space through time. And as you get older, how would you dance with this? And I think that also today, which is International Dance Day, I want to show my gratitude to people, the older dancers. And I don't think nobody has to ever stop dancing, because the older you get, the wiser you get, and you have something very precious to give. And this idea of ageism in dance, and all the isms and isms and isms, is wrong. I think that we can see that there is everybody has a place. Um, my my grandmother used to always say, when people told her she would want to buy like a scarf, and my cousin would say, that's like for 18-year-old, and she would say, until I breathe, I can wear whatever I want. I'm alive. Until I'm alive, I'm part of this world, right? So I think that until we breathe, we need to dance one way or another. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We have time for some questions before we then move back out and do a little mingling and snack eating and so on. So I'm opening it up to all of you if you have any questions.
Thanks, Sashar. Going back to the very first video that you showed, there's a lot of the gestural movement was the spinning. Can you speak about that action? Can you just open that up for us about the importance, the nature of that gesture?
Sure. You mean the whirling? Yes. Whirling is. I mean, there are a lot of things written about whirling, talking about the universe is turning, the blood is circulating, the circularity of life, and this is it. But those are symbolic and not something that really people who really practice it the most, which Rumi did the most practice in whirling. It existed before him in shamanic traditions. And when I traced it to shamanic traditions and Rumi's writings, I concluded that whirling is about not having a direction. You're not going forward, you're not going backward, you're here. So you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're here. And also it's the way that you put yourself between the sky and the earth. So at some point, believe it or not, the gravity just kind of gets less and less when you start spinning. And it's not that you lift yourself up. There has nothing happens to your pelvic floor. It just stays where it is. But there is this idea of yeah, it's like kind of floating. And excuse me, a lot of people doing it by spotting. So and a lot of people doing it to the right, and there are some arguments in dance therapy that they talk about this, that the left is the heart and the right is the logic. And so if you turn to the right, you're in control. But when you're turning to the left, it works if you surrender only. This is that part of it. I've done, for me, it happened just like that one day. I mean, they tell you these things and you do all the exercises and it doesn't work. And then one day you hear this song or you're in this mood and then it just comes to you but I know that there are trainings for it too. Some people have made it to a tradition, but really what the Sufism and Rumi talked about is a sama. This is called sama. Sama means to listen, not with your ear but with your whole body. What they talked about is something that it's about unleashing. It's not about kind of organizing yourself to all whirl at the same time to the same music, you know. That, yeah.
Any other questions? Well, something I noticed, Sashar, is so I was thinking about the juxtaposition of this urban center that you've lived in for many decades now. And then I was noticing like the beach and the water and the mountains and the horse. And so there's this whole thread of nature in all these other aspects of the work that you're doing. And I just wondered if you could just reflect on that, on the importance of nature in the work that you're doing, or how, how it sort of bangs up against the urban living.
Yes. Um, I believe that nature has the answer to everything. Like if you look at it, it tells what things needs to be like. I was in Kyrgyzstan once, and another elder lady told me. She said, "Akan suda aram yok," means there is no impurity in running water.
Mm-hmm.
This happened when I was telling him. She asked me where I'm from, and I said, she said, "What is your root?" And then I said, "Well, my father's mother is from Baku, my father's father is from Turkmenistan, and then this one is from Uzbekistan." It's like very apologetically, like I'm not from one place. I'm so kind of, and then I was born in Iran, and then I live in Canada, and she goes, "Oh, that's good." And she said, "Akan suda aram yok," means the running water is pure. It's good that you've been traveling and these things are happening to you. And so I thought that I have a different relationship to the nature, and I try to, when I go to places like Bangladesh, you understand that in Bangladesh or Morocco or Uzbekistan or Azerbaijan, when they say dance, contemporary dance or modern dance, they think about the French Institute or like the dance studios of French Institute or the dance studio, and then you go there and you become somebody else. And I have witnessed this, that some of these people don't have access to their traditional body, mind, and emotions in French Institute. Because once I was in Morocco, and I asked them for the choreography to do this movement, just this movement. It's kind of a zikr movement, it's a swing. And I couldn't get them to do it. And they did it, but really not very well. And after the show, they invited a Moroccan band to do the after show party and all. And as soon as the Moroccan band started playing, all of these people went in the middle, and I was like, "What happened to you guys?" So I just had to stop the band, and I just asked them, and they go, "Oh, but sir, this is traditional dance. It's not contemporary dance." It's like, "No, but it's a movement," right? So I realized that people don't. So when I go to these places, I take them to nature. I want to take them out of that idea of this is the stage and this is modernism. I want them to think about contemporization as a rejuvenation, of what they have, rather than replacing one with the other. Mm. It was created outside, and then after the 3 weeks of our work, we just took it in to a festival. But this was done. It was the Rohingya refugees camps there, and it was done with those memories of the boat, and it was quite emotional because it's one thing to just kind of do it in a studio, and another thing to do it in the water, and the water comes to you. So that was it. Yeah, yes.
Any other questions? Great. Well, I want to finish on this note of reflecting on what you said about dance being a way of life as opposed to a profession with maybe a start and an end. And I would say for the dancers that I know, it is a way of life. And I think even those of us in a field that is adjacent to a performative life, it is still a way of life. I would certainly say that about my own work. So I think that is a good note to end on, to think of dance as a way of life on this International Dance Day. Thank you, Sashar.
Thank you. Thank you.